Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Basra Chaf Hey, we begin at the Mishnah, right on top of the Amud, discussing distancing requirements again, meaning you can't place certain things near a city, lest they be affected by the foul odors. You're meant to keep nevelos, corpses, dead animals, away from a city. Vesa kvares, a cemetery. Vesa bursaki, a tanner. Right? So all these places, you have to keep them away from a city. 50 amas away because of the odor concerns. So whether it's a nevela, whether it's the kvares, whether it's a tannery, 50 amma away. Now once you're out of a city, says the Mishnah, but there are more restrictions as well. When it comes to a tannery, and some Mefarshim explain it's going on the other items as well, you can only do so to the east side of a city. Rashi explains because that wind, the eastern wind, is leisurely and soft and will not necessarily transport the intense odor into the city, versus other directions, other winds, which have that ability and pose a greater concern. So according to Tanakama, put a 50 amma outside the city on the east side. No, you can place it anywhere, except for outside the city on the west. Provided it's 50 amma away from the city, and the Gemara will explain exactly what Rabbi Yehuda had in mind. What else must you keep apart? Things that can cause each other harm. The soaking water on which they soak the flax becomes very foul smelling, and you have to keep it away from vegetables growing nearby. If you have a leak, keep them away from your neighbor's onions. Your mustard plants must be kept away from your neighbor's bees, because they come peck on the sharp mustard plants, which in turn causes them to need to quench their thirst and cool their mouths off by tapping into their own honey supply, which causes the beekeeper damage. He says chardal is not a concern, and then we'll explain exactly why. So let's go back to the bursaki. Tanakama says, do it limizrachayir. Rabbi Kiva says anywhere is fine except for Marav, plus you need 50 amma away. What exactly did Rabbi Kiva mean? We have two ways to learn. Rabbi Kiva, what was Rabbi Kiva's intention here? Place it outside the city on any side, except for the western side. Over there you need that 50 amma gap, which you don't need on the other sides for some reason. Or you don't want another option to learn. With the Rakiva, you can place this facility outside the city in any direction, east, south, north, provided you have the 50 amma space. Except for the Marav side where it's not allowed at all. We'll see in a minute why. So which way? What did he mean? Tashma, here comes a raya from a brisa. The sign of Rakiva, the facility can be placed on any side, provided you have 50 amma between the facility and the city. But Marav is not allowed at all, even if it's 50 amma away. You know why? Because it's constant. What does this mean? What does this mean? My tadir. What do you mean? It's constant. Does it mean that there's a constant breeze, a constant wind blowing from the western side? So the western wind is more constant than the other winds coming from the other directions, and therefore we're concerned about transporting the odor into town. Really? We have a quote from Rab. Every day, depending on the hour, you have a different wind coming from a different direction. That's the paramount wind. And the northerly wind, he joins them all, softens them, tempers them. Because if not for the Ruach Tzafainis joining, the world will just crumble because of the strength of the other winds if they were left untempered. You should know the Ruach coming from Darim, from south, is the most potent. There's a malach called Ben Netz. If not for the fact that he comes along and he protects us, Shema Amida, he holds back that fierce wind with his wings, machrebes, so it will destroy the world. Shenemar Hame Binoscha. This is a pasuk in Iyov describing Hashem's wondrous doings in the world. Hame Binoscha Yaver Nates. Nates is this malach who Yifreis Knaf of Leteman, who spreads his wings towards the south. So bottom line, we don't see that Ma'arav has a constant wind. If anything, it's the Tzafon that does. So what does Rabbi Kiva mean? Tadira. Ella, rather, my Tadira. What does constant mean? Because of the presence of the Shechina in the Ma'arav side, which is more felt there, it's more noticeable there to those who can feel the Shechina. Tadira b'Shechina. And therefore, Rabbi Kiva says, don't place this facility on that side of the city. It's not covered to the Shechina, interestingly. You can have two cities next to each other, and the city on this side will not place the Bursaki on the west, which is really the east of the other city. The other city has to be careful on their west. So how does that work? So first, we must explain it's all relative. It's about our perception. On our west, we have to relate to the Shechina as though it's there. So each to his own, location. We're going to prove that, in fact, the Shechina is based, so to speak, on the Ma'arav side of the world. Let's appreciate. Let's show appreciation to our forefathers, to the ones who taught us. Shahidiu Makam Tefillah. They taught us in which direction to daven, to tell us where the Shechina was. The Anshe Knesset HaGdolah. In Nehemiah, they tell us that in fact the Shechina is in the west, because the Tzva Shamayim, the world body, the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, they're bowing to you, to the Shechina. So basically they're going from east to west. Apparently they're bowing to the west because the Shechina is in Ma'arav. Asks Gemara, who says that indicates Shechina being situated in Ma'arav? Maskeflor of Achavar Yaakov Duma. Maybe the Shechina is really at the east, and it's like Ke'evet Shenoitel Pras Mirabi. Imagine a servant receiving a gift from his master, and rather than turning around and facing the door, he turns around and faces his master and sort of walks backwards. Umeshtachman, he's bowing to his master as he's walking backwards. So the someone is going from east to west, perhaps it's sort of going backwards, facing the east, bowing to the east, where the Shechin is. Kasha, we leave it as a kasha. In fact, we don't really have a clear raya, but that was the Kabbalah that Shechina is in Ma'arav. But we have dissenting views. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Shechina b'chal makom. There's no specific, direction that we can point to as the place of the Shechina. Dam Rabbi Yehuda ma'idechsiv atu Hashem levadecha atu sisas hashemayim. And the pasuk is, praising the fact that Hashem controls the world and sends all the celestial bodies to their tasks. And he says like this, it's so different when he's talking about Hashem's agents versus the agents sent out by a human ruler. Why? An ordinary shliach, when they get sent on a mission, they come back to report. Where do they report? To go back to the place where he sent them out, to come back and report. Otherwise he wouldn't know that they completed their task. But you, Hashem, is so different. Your shluchim, they don't need to come back to you because you're all over the place. They can report to you wherever they are. At their destination, and there they confirm the completion of their task. Shenemar, as we have a pasuk once again, Iyov, Hashem barakim v'yelechu, yom lecha hinenu. So Hashem is sending out the barakim, lightnings, and they go and they report to Hashem. Where do they report from? Rather than saying they'll come back to report, it says they'll go and report. At their destination, they can report to Hashem. This teaches us that the Shechina is everywhere, equally found everywhere. That is Rabbi Shmuel's opinion as well. How do we know? The Tan of Rabbi Shmuel. We have a brayso. How do we know? Shechina is all over equally. Shenemar hine hamalach hadover biyotzei, umalach acher yotzei likrosei. So one malach is speaking to me. This is a pasuk in Zechariah. He leaves. Another malach comes out towards him. Right? So Hashem is sending out these malachim, and they're sort of, bumping into each other. Achar l'nemar doesn't say the second malach is behind the first malach. El likrasa. He's coming from a totally different direction. So the Shechina, Hashem is sending them both out from different directions. Molamid. Shechina b'chal makom, the Shechina is equally found everywhere. V'af Rav Sheshes savar Shechina b'chal makom, and that is Rav Shesh's opinion as well. The Amar le Rav Sheshes l'shamei. We know that Rav Sheshes was blind, and he instructed his shamas, his helper, when it came time to daven, set me up in any direction you want, and not particular. L'chol ruchos oikman. When you get me up to daven, it can be in any direction, except lavar mimizra, except to the east. V'lav mishum d'leif be'ishchin, not because, not due to the lack of the Shechina's presence in the east. Ela mishum d'mayru b'minei. I don't want the minim, the ones who worship Avodah Zarah, who have their practice to pray to the east, to the celestial bodies, and so keep me away from that. But otherwise, I'm okay because the Shechina is everywhere. But we have a shita which disagrees, which corresponds to the previous opinion that the Shechina, the Ikar, the main Shechina's presence is in Marav. Rabavo Amar Shechina b'Marav. The Amar Rabavo, my Urya. What does Urya mean? Urya is a reference to the western. It's in Persian. What does Urya mean? What does it stand for? Avir Ka. It's the side of the world where the Shechina Ka is situated. Now we have a lesson from Rabbi Yehuda based on the pasuk in Dvarim Lamed Beis, comparing the Torah to the different types of winds that blow throughout the world. So the Torah is compared to Yariv Kama. What does that mean? Zuruach Marabas. It's a reference to the Ruach coming from Marav. Shaba Me'arpa. Arif is the back. Shaba Me'arpa Sha'olam, which comes from the back of the world. So the Marav is the back and East is the front. The pasuk continues, Tidal Katalim Rasi. What is that referring to? Zurach Tzfainis. Shemazelis Azov, it's going on the Ruach coming from Tzafain, warms up the world, which brings famine and hunger, which makes Zahav, gold, cheap and worthless. We find another pasuk referring to worthless gold. Hazolim Zahav Mikis, Zahav is cheap. Pasuk continues. Kisir Malidesh. Torah is comparable to the other wind. Which wind is that? Zurach Mizrach, it's coming from Mizrach Shi. Mas Eres is Kol Olam Kisoyer. It's called Seirim. Because just like the Dima is a shade, it's powerful, it's strong, it's tumultuous. And finally, the southern wind, Uchvichervivim Ali Esev Zurach Drem, is the southern wind, which is one that generates the rain supply. Shimala Revivim, which gets the rain going, Umegadelas Asavim, and makes the grass grow. So just like the world requires all these various elements to keep it going and functioning properly, the Torah sustains the world. Tamir Blezer Omer. Now we're going to discuss a totally different aspect of our functioning, the functioning within the world. How we're going to be describing these suns travels around the world. And before we begin, it's important to know that although we speak about literal phenomenon, the Mefarshim, the Maral, the Ramesh Chaim Lotzato, the Ramchal, will explain that the Gemara wasn't coming to teach us science. Rather, it's giving us a glimpse of various phenomena, but really the true lessons are embedded deep within. There's a lot of secrets, a lot of pnimius, seides going on behind these discussions, and that's how we have to approach these types of conversations, which in a literal sense don't always correspond to the way we perceive the literal setup within this world, because like we said, they're alluding to deeper concepts and seides of Kabbalah. Okay, so we have machlekes regarding how the sun makes its way around the world. Tanya Blezo Emer. So we have Rabbi Lezer, and then we're going to have Rabbi Shua. According to Rabbi Lezer, Olam la'achsadra hudaima. The world is compared to an achsadra, like an enclosed area which is open on one side. Achsadra hudaima. Veruach tzafain is enim usaveves. On the tzafain, it's open. So it's closed on three sides and open on the fourth. And that's where the sun sort of hides during the night. When the sun gets to the Ma'arav Tzafain, the northwestern corner of the world, it can't continue. And it sort of makes its way up above the rakia, above the sky, and it sort of gets out of the enclosure. We don't see it, and that's why it's dark. Then in the morning it comes down from the other side, the northeastern corner, and it starts shining, and day commences. So that's Rabbi Lezer's opinion. Rabbi Shua oh, it's like a closed, a totally enclosed area, like a closed tent. And the Tzafain side is also closed up. How does the sun get out? Through some sort of channel. Now when the sun sets and it gets to the Lekeri Maravis Tfainis, to the northwesternly corner of this world, so it sort of gets through some sort of opening, some sort of hatch in this enclosure, and it makes its way along the northern side and comes back down on the northeastern side in the morning. Shanama, we have a raya from my pasuk, Hoylech el Doraim, v'Seivev el Tzafain. So the sun is Hoylech when it comes to Doraim. When it comes to Tzafain, it's Seivev. It makes a roundabout, gets out of the way. So Hoylech el Doraim, but yeah, during daytime, right, so on the shortest day of the year, you still have the sun running through the southern part of the world. V'Seivev el Tzafain. And when it comes to Tzafain, it's Seivev, Balayla. It leaves. It goes around our area and disappears beyond the Kippas Ha'olam, beyond it. And you don't see it. Seivev, Seivev Halech HaRuach, Val Svivaisav Shavarach. So then we have the pasuk continuing to describe that in some areas, it's iffy. At times, it's Seivev. The sun disappears. At times, it's Hoylech. So what does that mean? That's referring to the eastern and western sides of this world. Because, let's realize something, in a very simple sense. The sun will rise in the east and set in the west on a very short winter day. So for us in the northern hemisphere, you'll see the sun arcing around the south side of our world. Right? So if this is east, this is west, north, south, you'll see the sun coming, sort of hugging the south side and setting. So on a short day, you're going to see it running along the south, and that's it. Now as the days progressively get longer and longer, right? So the sun will sort of rise closer and closer to the north and make the arc longer than before. So the arc keeps on stretching longer until on the longest day of the year, the sun is like rising on the northeastern corner, making its way like a U towards the south, running along the south and coming back and setting on the northern western corner. That's the longest day of the year. Shortest day, it will appear like it's rising on the southeastern corner and setting towards the southwestern corner. So that explains Rabbi Shua. When it comes to Darim, it's always seen along the Darim. When it comes to Tzafin, it's never seen along the Tzafin. That's nighttime. And regarding Mizrach and Marav, it depends at what point of the year. Right? That's referring to the east and west. So during the short winter days, you won't see them the sun running along those sides and visibly along those sides. It disappears. Because it's only going to be visible along the southern side of the world. But at times, meaning during the longer days of the year, where the arc stretches back up. So, yeah, at that point of the year, you'll see the sun shining alongside the east, alongside the south, back alongside the west, and then it sets. So we bring a raya from this, from the fact that the term Soivev relates to the other sides as well. The other directions too. Mizrach and Marav, right? So apparently, it's not like Rabbi Yehuda says that Tzafain is unique because there's no Mechitza there, which allows the sun to disappear. Because we see the same Lashon Soivev relating to other directions. So apparently, right, there's a right to Rishua that in a physical sense there's no difference between the different directions. Rather, when it comes to the northern point, the sun leaves through a hatch and sort of hides behind the world and then comes back down. Who? This is going back to Rabbi Yehuda. Haya Eimer. He would say the following. This brisa, because Asa on Rabbi Yehuda, it's clearly reflective of his shita. And it's based on a pasuk in Eiv. Minacheder toiva sufa. So Hashem is going to bring this wind, Ruach Droimis, southerly wind which comes with a storm. Umim Zarem Kara. What is that? Ruach Tzvainis. The Ruach coming from Tzafain. Cold wind. Because it's open. The Machitza has been cast about. There's no partition, it's exposed. Mizarim, it's Muzura, it's Muzara center. There's no Machitza, it's been cast away. So this is like Rabbi Lezer's Shita. That Tzafain is not enclosed. Minishmas Kelit and Kerach. Which wind is that? Ruach Ma'rabis, coming with a strong cold wind. V'ruach Ma'im B'mutzak. What is that? Ruach Mizrach. Mizrach is the wind from the east, which, as we explained, generates the rain. Asks the Gemara, Geshem comes from the Ruach Mizrach. V'amamar, we learned a bit earlier, Ruach D'Raimis, Ma'ala Revivim, Umagadalas Asaf. We attribute that power to the Ruach D'Raimis, not Ruach Mizrachis. Like Asha, the answer is like this. Depends how it's happening. Ha the Asya Mitra ben Yechusa. The Ruach from Darim is when it's raining leisurely, calmly. So that's attributed to that wind. Ha b'shvichusa. But the Ruach Mizrachis generates strong, powerful rains. Amar of Chizda. Once again, referring to the different types of winds. Ma'idach siv mitzafain zahav yasa. What does that mean? Mitzafain zahav yasa. Ruach Tzvaini, that's going on the Ruach from Tzafain. Shemazelas hazav, as we explained before, it dries up the world. It brings hunger and famine, which makes precious metals like gold worthless. Gold, which is very cheap. From the time of the Beis Hamikdash's destruction, so until then, the Ruach D'Raimis would generate this leisurely, pleasant rain, but it hasn't happened. So we learn from here that the Gzeira was that Yamin, which we're going to see in a minute, is referring to Daraim, will not generate prosperity. Uksiv Tzafain v'Yamin atabarasm. You created Tzafain and Yamin. Yamin, the opposite of Tzafain, which means that it's going on the southerly wind, and typically that would bring blessing and bracha and rain, but it hasn't happened. V'amar Raf from Rapap Amar of Chisda Yoim shechara Beis Hamikdash Eina geshamim yordim oitzar toiv. From the time of destruction of the Mikdash, we no longer got our rain from a good, generous source, from the Hashem's good treasure. Shnema yiftach Hashem l'cha satzorei toiv. Hashem will open His treasures and provide us with rain. And the pasuk continues with a reference to Mitar Artzecha, your land. When you're sitting on your land, that's when you get it from that good source. Bizman sheYisrael oisin return shel makom, when Klal Yisrael does Hashem's will. The Yisrael shiruin al admasim, and we're situated on our land, then we get the blessing from its good source. Geshamim yordim moitzar toiv. But bizman, at a time she'ein Yisrael shiruin al admasim, we're not on our land during exile. Ein geshamim yordim moitzar toiv. We no longer have that abundance. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, speaking about rains and winds, haroitza sheyachim yadrim. If a person wants to achieve wisdom, wants to get chachma, so when he davens Shemona Esrei, he should face Dorim. V'shiyasher, if a person wants to achieve wealth, Tzafain, face Tzafain. That will connect you to the source of those respective brachos. V'simonach, if you want to remember this is how you do it. Shulchan b'Tzafain, in the Beis Hamikdash, a shulchan, upon which they placed the breads, which was the conduit for the Gashmistic bracha coming to Klal Yisrael b'Tzafain, that was situated in Tzafain. So if you want to check into that and tap into that bracha, face that direction. U'menorah b'Darim, the menorah, which symbolizes the Ohr HaTorah, was in Darim. So if you want to tap into that, face there. Rabbi Yehoshua Levi Omar, he says no need. Lo'ilo miyadrim, better face Darim. You know why? You'll get everything. It's all in one. Once you get chachma and you get Torah, you're automatically going to be zeicha to bracha and parnasa as well. Mis asher. Shenemar oirich yamim b'mina. This is going on the Torah. So when you achieve Torah, when you get the chachma, you'll get oisher as well. Asks the Gemara. So you meant to face Dorim? Rabbi Yehuda Levi Amar Shechina b'Marav. A minute ago, Rabbi Yehuda Levi told us you meant to focus on the Shechina in Marav. And here he's telling us to dive into Dorim. The mitzvah that's duty. Yeah, primarily you face Marav, but you sort of tilt yourself to the right to Dorim. Amar Lei Rabbi Chanina Rav Ashi. Kigoyin atun di asvisu b'tzvayne et Yisrael. Now, according to this opinion, which is actually the opinion that we follow halacha, we don't face Marav. Rather, we face Eretz Yisrael. So now our tefillos are directed to the Beis HaMikdash. So he told Rav Ashi, if you sit, right, since you live b'tzvayne Eretz Yisrael, Babel is on the north of Eretz Yisrael, adrimu, when you daven, turn south to Eretz Yisrael, to the Beis HaMikdash. Imnol in the Babel, l'tzvayne Eretz Yisrael. How do we know that a Babel is situated to the north of Eretz Yisrael? The Chsiv mitzafayin, tipasach hara, al kol ishya eretz. This was Yirmiyah prophesied in the Churban, which is going to originate in Tzafayin from Babel. So you meant to keep a distance between Mishra and Yarak, between creation and B'tzolim, between mustard plants and bees. Tana, Rabbi Yesi Matar B'charda. Rabbi Yesi is not concerned about keeping your mustard from your neighbor's bees. Because the mustard man could tell the bee man, before you start giving me instructions, keep your mustard from my bees. So the mustard man could tell the beekeeper, you keep your bees away from my plants. They're harming my goods as well. They're chopping away at the plants, at my mustard flowers, buds. So we're an even turf. It's even Steven, so you don't have a stronger claim against me than I have against you, and therefore just leave it status quo. Continues the Mishnah. Oh, this is that halacha that we learned many times. Your friend has a well, a pit next door. Keep your tree away from that pit. How far? 25 amma. All these trees that generate lots of leaves and roots, carob and shikma, 5 amma, you need 50 amma between yourself and the pit. Whether the tree and the pit are on different sort of grades, whether they're on the same level, keep it away. Now, if your neighbor's pit preceded your tree, you have to remove the tree, but he has to pay you for it. If your tree came first, you don't have to remove the tree. Let's say we're not sure which came first. He has no right to chop it off. Rabbi Yehuda, he disagrees with many halachas that were learned until now. He says, I can do whatever I want pretty much in my territory, as long as I'm not directly harming you. But planting a tree, currently there's no issue. There's no encroachment going on, right? So it's allowed. Rabbi Yehuda, even if the pit came before my tree, you have no right to chop it off. Why? Shimon could dig in his property, and Reuben could plant in his property. Says the Mishnah. Says the Gemara. Tana, we learned in a price. Whether the boyer and the ilan are an equal turf or uneven grade, meaning the boyer is higher up on the hill, the tree is planted lower down. Whether the boyer is higher than the tree. Either way, it's a concern according to Tanakam. Asks the Gemara, why? I understand if my tree is situated up here and then the grade sort of slopes downward to my neighbor and he has a pit lower down, the tree will eventually reach, the roots will encroach. And my roots will go ahead and travel, undermine your pit. So there's a concern. But if the bar is situated higher up than the tree is not traveling up. What's the concern? There is a concern, although not as sort of direct as before, but here as well, it could undermine, it could soften the foundation of your bur. My roots will bore into the property, beneath the bur. It bores its way into your property, and will crumble away the foundation of your pit. No worries. Even if the bar comes first, Well, you have no right to force me to chop my tree. Guess what? That's the opinion that we adopt as well. But there is an exception to the rule. It's not a free-for-all. When we spend time by Rav Kahana, we would say like this. There's one exception here. Direct damage is also. Even Rabbi Yesi, says causation is okay, but begiri didei, if it's a direct harm, like shooting an arrow, it's a mashal, right? So if the effect is felt immediately, it's also. We have a story depicting this point. Papi, that was his name, Papa Yuna. He came from the place here, I guess. Oni v'hesher hava. Initially, he wasn't very wealthy, he was a poor man actually, and then he struck it rich. But now, to celebrate his success, he built this huge palace, huge mansion. Problem is, his neighbors weren't really cooperating. He had these sesame oil producers, bishavuse, as neighbors. When they were banging and pressing those sesames, the whole place would rattle. His whole mansion would vibrate. And he was concerned about the health of his structure. Also going to Rav Ashi. He comes complaining to Rav Ashi about his neighbors, Amalei. And he says, yeah, Ki avoim berav kahana. Havar mina, right? Berav kahana we would say, Moidu Rabbi Yesi begir delay. This is a direct cause. This is not just a tree which is going to eventually grow. This is direct damage. And therefore you have a full right to stop it. V'cham. What level, what degree of vibration concerns us? Kedenayid nachtma. The test is like this. Take a chaspa, take a pitcher, and put it up on the wall of your mansion, and see if the lid rattles. Kedenayid nachtma. If the lid rattles, apumi the chatzpa sitting at the opening, covering the pitcher. So yeah, if that's what happens, if it rattles, you have a right to stop them. Otherwise, let it go. Let's summarize today's DAF. We spoke about ruchais, directions, and where to place facilities like nevelis, kvaris, and burski, which generate foul odors. 50 amma from the city, according to Tanakama, put it on the east because it's less exposed to the fierce winds, which can transport the odor into town. Ruch Mizrach is a leisurely soft wind. That's the best place. Rekiva, according to the conclusion, tells us that the only place you cannot place the facilities on the Marav because of the Shechina, which is situated Be'ikor in Marav, and that's one opinion in the Gemara. The other opinion says Shechina is equally found all over. We had Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Shua describing the sun's travels through the world with rayas to each respective opinion. We discussed the various winds and currents and their powers. We discussed the bracha that was around by the Beis HaMikdash time. We discussed davening towards Dorim or Tzafin, depending on your wishes. Then we went on to the Mishnah, keeping the Ilan from the boy, according to Tanakama, it's required to protect the neighbor's boy, according to Rabbi Yesi. Unless it's direct causation, it will be okay, and that's how we paskin. All the best to you, and atzlach.